Hi there, I'm Stacy Delo, and I'm the Chief Content Officer of Après, a career resource for women looking to make a career comeback. And I'm so thrilled to be talking today to life and career coach and my friend, Johanna Beyer of On Your Path Consulting, about knowing when it's time to make that leap for change, whether it's returning to work after a break, starting a new business, or just finding a new career. So, Johanna, thanks so much for coming to talk to us today.
Thank you, Stacy. So happy to be here.
So, a couple years ago, you wrote this fantastic article offering 9 details essentially on signals that maybe our body or our mind are telling us that it's time for change. And I'm wondering why it takes so many signals to know that it's time for that change.
Well, it's the curse of being human because as humans, the last thing our protection system, our inner critic wants is for us to change our situation. Even if that situation is no longer right for us, unhealthy for us, it would rather have us stay in our comfort zone and do what we know than make any change at all. And so when I first start working with someone or I have an introduction call, I always ask, how long have you been hearing the whispers to make this change? And I would say the most normal answer is between 2 to 4 years.
Oh, wow.
2 to 4 years.
Well, I want people to go and read the article to get all of these 9 signals that you say to watch for. But I thought it might be nice to call out a few that resonate with people watching. One of my favorites is that you often go to thinking in extremes, such as, I'm going to move to Montana and start a farm. And I've definitely had thoughts like this. But what are some other good examples of some of these signals that people could be watching for?
Yeah, for example, I'm in this job I don't like anymore and say it's public relations. All I want to do is quit and move to Paris and become a chef. But
Sounds fun.
that's not realistic, so I'm just going to stay where I'm at.
Okay.
So, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big. In fact, I think visioning is really, really important to say out loud your big dream. But what we do, and when we're first contemplating a change, is we always jump to a really big extreme that feels so different than where we're at. It feels temporarily like just wonderful. And then immediately our inner critic comes in and says, that's never going to happen, and it jumps us back.
Okay.
And so we do that at first, it's a signal that we are no longer happy with where we're at. When we start thinking, I want to start a farm in Montana, or I want to go back to school, or something big, that is actually your intuition signaling to you that it is time to make a change. But when we first start, it's always very extreme, and then we kind of give up and we come back to square root one.
And the other thing that we hear a lot about from the women that we talk to on Après is that they start to sort of rationalize where they are. Oh, I can stick this out for another year. I'm going to wait and see what happens in May before I make this decision. I mean, is that common?
So common. So again, you get the wave of change. And one of the ways our inner critics talks us out of it rationalizes the abnormal. Okay. It says, you know what, you're miserable here, or you're not feeling healthy anymore, or you're overstressed, you're not into the work. Don't most people feel that way? So we then make timelines. This is the egoic linear brain. Just stay, it's 1 year, usually 5 more years.
Wow.
Make the money you need. Just suck it up. Make the money you need.
Right.
And then begin your next chapter of life.
And you would say, don't do that.
I would say that's a sign. It feels actually kind of good for a second, right? But this is the bottom line, is in 5 years from now, if that's the plan you decide on, in 5 years from now, you're going to be even more embroiled in that job you don't like, and it's going to be even harder to make a change. It's like the smoker who says, let me just smoke through Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then in January I'll stop smoking.
What's a baby step that someone could take? I mean, it takes finding the courage to say, okay, I recognize these signs. It's time to do something. And clearly there's a long path ahead probably toward change. But what are some baby steps that people could say, okay, now that I see that it's time, what should I start to do?
Well, one of the first things people usually do when they feel like they're ready to make a change is they jump right into action. And I'm a lover of action. I mean, it's what I do all day long with people, but it's actually one of the worst things you can do when you're ready to make a change is I'm just going to start applying to jobs, or I'm just action, action, action. Because what happens is the inner critic will come in and fizzle it out really quick because you haven't done some introspection. So what I would say to someone who's really ready to make a change is to first wrap your arms around yourself and say, this is going to be hard, but I'm ready. I'm scared, but what's on the other side is far greater than me suffering or living this life anymore. Just say out loud, I'm ready.